We're doing the basic introduction for machine learning.
So what are we going to talk about today? We are going to start with the introduction at a high level. What is machine learning? And there are different types of machine learning. It's important to know the types. And let's also talk about how it works, right? Not just knowing, okay, machine learning exists is not enough. You need to know how it works. And also you want to know where we use machine learning. And Ravi is going to show you using Scratch how you can experiment with machine learning using Scratch. So machine learning is part of computer programming, computer science, right? We have been doing computer programming for decades, like from 70s, from 60s it started. But we were doing the programming differently. But in the last 10 years, the way we use computers, the way we do programming changed, and changed for good. And we used to use computers to do calculations, right? Basic calculations, mathematics and research and education. Now we use computers to predict a lot of things. How many of you use weather.com or any site that predicts weather? We all use. We live in Michigan, and we want to know whether it's going to snow tomorrow or it's going to snow next week, or what's going to be the weather next month, right? Any guess how they predict? Using machine learning. So machine learning can predict the future, and it can also classify information, right? It can group data, right? Let's say you have a collection of fruits, variety of fruits, thousands, hundreds of thousands. For humans, it would take days to group fruits by type. But if you use machine learning, you can do that very fast, and machine learning can classify different types of fruits. I'm just using this as an example, very fast and mostly accurately, right? So that's predicting and classifying data helps us to make better decisions. Can I take my car out tomorrow or not? That's a decision I have to make, and I use the prediction, how much snow I'm going to, this area is going to get tomorrow. So people can predict that. Based on that prediction, I can take my own decisions, right? That's machine learning.
So generally with humans, right? I mean, if you think of analogy, when we are a kid, you show a color to a kid and say learn, right? Orange, blue. Humans, the generalization with humans is if I show a kid an orange, even if it's a lighter shade of an orange, a darker shade of an orange, our mind functions, right? It can think for itself and still identify the color, right? You don't have to be told every single shade of blue. Machines are getting there. That's where we are telling machines, okay, if I show you an orange color, tell me it's orange, even if I show you a lighter color, harder color, bluer color. So like Raja is saying, for a human though, if I were to throw a full room of oranges and say, count for me, how long would it take? For a machine, probably by the time you turn around, it's already counted, right? That's where we are trying to use these machines to make it learn and be our friend, right? We don't want them to replace us, but we want them to help us, like I'm saying, in weather predictions.
Yeah.
We decide you guys don't want to go to school, the first thing you do in the morning is, oh my God, it's going to snow. Happy. That's where it's coming in.
Yeah.
Quite right.
And the thing is, we humans learn from our past experience, right? I can give you an example. I drive for an hour to reach office. So I take different routes, and I adjust my route, which route I take based on my experience. So I take a particular route for a week, and I see traffic is really congested in that route. What I do, I try a different route the following week, right? We look at past experience and we learn from that. Humans are very good at it, right? Now we are trying to teach the computers also to do the same. How do you teach computers? You have lots and lots of past data. Let's take weather data. We have accumulated 100 years of weather data for throughout the country, right? US, like you give a zip code, and you can go up to like 100 years and see what was weather on that particular date. So we have accumulated lots of data, historical data. and we can feed that into computers to predict future weather, right? I'm keep going to the weather prediction as an example, but that's one example, right? So, and the good thing is like, it's not just one-time activity. We can keep doing this training. We can train computers again and again and again so that these predictions are accurate. Make sense? Just like humans, like we learn, we don't stop learning, right? We always learn so we can predict better.
Let me give you an example, like real life happened to me. A few years back, one of my friends was sitting in my home. Around 8:30, Google Map pops up on his phone and says the drive to your home in Westland is 20 minutes. And we were shocked. And I kid you not, this is a real experience. We were shocked. How did it know that he was ready to go home? And coincidentally, he happened to get up to go home. He was walking to the door and pops up a map and says 20 minutes to your home. We were like, at that day, we were thinking, is somebody tracking him? Because that was our first concern. Later on, we sat down one day and we were thinking about it. It so happened the last few weeks, coincidentally around that time he was at my home. And he happened to leave around 8:30ish. So it was learning from it and saying, this person comes to this place and around 8:30 tends to go home. And that's what machine is, it's learning in the background by what I am doing and then predicting and saying, before you go, I'm telling you like Raja's point, don't take 275. Take this route and you'll be home faster, right? Helps you, but that's where machine learnings are kicking in now, right?
Yeah, we'll talk more about applications of machine learning when we get to that slide, okay? But you know how important it is now, how important role machine learning is playing in our day-to-day life. All right, so we talked about AI when Ravi asked what is artificial intelligence. Some of you raised your hands. So what's the difference, right? You hear about AI, artificial intelligence, ML, machine learning, and deep learning, DL. So what's the difference? So at a very high level, machine learning and deep learning are a subset of artificial intelligence. It's a broader spectrum of tools, technologies, and methods cover artificial intelligence. But if you go one level down, machine learning, it's all about learning from past data, right? How to predict. And machine learning helps us predict. It doesn't make decisions. We humans still own the decisioning part of it, right? When it comes to our life-changing, life-altering decisions, we own it. Machines don't own that. Machines help us predict, help us make decisions, but we own the decision. But if you go to the next level, deep learning, it's complicated. It's closer to simulating our brain, the way our brain works. Computers can make decisions, whether to do something or not. It can accurately make predictions, and it can decide on its own. So there are some applications for deep learning as well. So we are not going to go there, but let's focus more on machine learning, which involves learning from past data and predicting and classifying. So let's talk about types of machine learning. There are different types, right? So you can ask, why are we having different types of machine learning, right? So it's evolving. We started with something simple, and humans, we love computers, we love programming. So we started applying machine learning techniques in different ways, and these types of machine learning techniques are evolving. And the simplest one is supervised learning. This is what we use in FPC robotic programming. So what is it? Like I said, we give machines data and results, and the computer learns from that and helps us future predictions. So without training data, we cannot use this supervised learning, right? Someone says, hey, I don't have any data to feed computers. How do I use machine learning? That's when you use unsupervised machine learning. For this, you need lots and lots of data. You don't prepare data. You give computers all the data you have. Let's say weather, right, prediction. Hundreds of years of weather data, you just give it to computers. They are going to learn from that data instead of a smaller set of data that we can use here. So for example, for this FTC, to train the robot, all I needed was like 3 videos, that's it. I was able to, or we were able to, detect our object using supervised learning with smaller set of data. But you cannot do that with unsupervised learning. You need a huge set of data, like years of worth of data to do this type of machine learning. And you can say, I don't have any data, I want computers to learn on their own. That's when you go to this type. Say for example, like Nest. Most of you, or some of you may have learning thermostats at your home, right? You don't feed any data, and based on the way you adjust, you set the temperature, it learns from that. There could be some mistakes, but after a month, it can correctly predict, okay, this person wants like 70 degrees during daytime and 65 degrees during nighttime. So it learns on its own. We don't feed any data. It learns from our behavior, the way we use the thermostat, right? And another example is self-driving cars, right? You buy a self-driving car like Tesla, and we don't tell that car, I want you to drive like this, right? It comes with some predefined, way of driving. Then based on your location, like your usage pattern, it learns everything. It can detect traffic lights, for example, right, on its own. You go to different parts of US, the traffic lights are arranged differently, right? But Tesla can like pretty much self-drive everywhere because the machines learn on their own.
So these are things like simple things, like Raja was talking about Nest, right? Like the smart thermostat. If you go home today and ask your dad to show the thermostat, you'll see a schedule over there, just to give you an example. How did it know? Your dad didn't feed it. They were, in previous days when we had the older thermostat, I would say at 10 p.m. set it to X temperature, at 6 a.m. set it to this. When we got the Nest ones, you just put it there, turn it for a couple of days and then forget. And if you look at that, if you keep changing in between days and the weather, it is also taking input from the weather and it's automatically creating a schedule. It's learning. I mean, there are algorithms running somewhere on some servers and it's pushing and saying, okay, like to his point, at 10 o'clock he wants 68, but in 6 o'clock he wakes up and it's smart enough now, these things are tied to your cell phone. So if you walk away from home, it knows you're out. And it automatically turns down the temperature. Nothing that I'm even touching. It's learning from my habits. Maybe I want a hotter temperature. So those are small applications which we weren't so used to. Like Uncle was pointing out today, Raja was pointing, I didn't even realize, like, oh yeah, it's actually simple things in our lives. Machines are running in the back and helping us do things from our side, right? Okay?
And the good thing is, computers can learn from mistakes, just like humans. If a computer makes a mistake, you go and correct it, that goes into the learning aspect. So it won't make that same mistake again because it's learning from mistakes. That's another part of machine learning. Okay, so how machine learning differs from traditional computer programming, right? I have been doing programming for the last 20 years. When I started programming, we didn't start with machine learning. We were doing traditional programming. Even most of us do traditional programming only, right? There are a lot of IT companies that do traditional programming. How traditional programming works, you give input, you give the program, and you feed both input and the program to computer, and it produces the result. Let's take a very basic example. Your calculator is a mini computer, right? You give 2 numbers, and the program can be either the mathematical operation you want to perform, right? Addition or division or whatever it is. That's the program. So you give your numbers, 2 numbers, and what operation that you want to perform to the calculator, you get the result, right? If I give 2 plus 2, it gives 4. The plus is the program, what it has to do. And the 4 is what the calculator produced, right? So that's traditional programming. It's manual, right? And who creates that program? Humans. We write that program, what that operation should be. But if you come to machine learning, it's completely different. We tell computer, hey, these are my inputs, and from the past, these are the results. And the computer figures out the program. Say, for example, let's use the same basic calculator, addition example, okay? So I give like multiple. I give 2 and 2. I tell computer, this produces 4. I give 3 and 3, this produces 6. So I feed lots and lots of data like this, but I'm not telling the operation, whether it's addition or not, right? So I feed lot of data. And machine learning algorithms go through these inputs, the numbers I gave, and the desired results I gave. It can generate the program. Okay, in order to get to the desired result from this input, I need to perform the addition operation. Make sense? So computer generates the program, the complex set of rules. So we basically converted this approach, programmer creating the program to the machine creating the program, right? And this way, we can change different results based on different input, and computers can keep on enhancing this program. It's not like one-time program generator, and today it's supporting addition. Tomorrow it can support multiplication. I'm just using these basic examples, right? That's how this differs from traditional computer programming. Ravi, you want to add anything?
Yeah, this one is like you to tell it everything, right? If I have to turn to go my house, you have to exactly tell it, turn right, turn left, go there. If one of the pieces is missing,
Yes.
it cannot do anything. It doesn't know what to do. Humans, that's the difference between humans. Humans, it finds the roads, he'll think, okay, maybe I'll try to go left because east is left. Here we're giving a little more brains to it and say, okay, even though I didn't tell you everything, last time I drove on the left, thinks a little bit about it, takes the data and says, okay, I'll make a decision to move left. So that's evolving right now. Previously, every single thing I had to tell it, do this, do this. If it doesn't see what you told it to do, it just stops. It doesn't know what to do with it.
Exactly.
And that's where you have your errors on your screens you are very familiar with, right? That's why you have to type it everything. Here, it's now using human brains, similar thing, and saying, okay, I will make certain decisions on it. It's still not to an extent where humans can still think faster, humans can react to it, right? Computers are going there into neural, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Just one question.
Yeah.
Would that mean that if we have bad inputs fed into the system, you could also have a bad desired program if you
Yeah.
put
Yes.
a different desired
That's-
results?
that's
That's
a-
an adverse effect
Yes.
of ML side.
Yeah.
That's correct.
The only thing that, what was that term we used in garbage in, garbage out? Like traditional programs, right? But I heard, I was reading somewhere, these are getting better at weeding out data too.
Weeding out data.
Weeding out at least
Just for
to
the
some
kids, yeah.
extent, but yeah, if you give total complete junk data, it's predicting also is a little bit more
Correct.
not
Correct.
good, but.
So this is that's where machine learning involves not just programming. You have to have data analysts and data scientists. They make sure the programs generated by machines are good for real-time use, right? So it's an interesting field. Okay, so how does it work? I know we have spent already some time on these. We have been talking about historical data, right? For machine learning, you need data, at least for supervised learning. That's what we are going to focus on today. So you collect data, you prepare the data, you tell, like Ravi said, how we teach kids, small kids, like the flashcards. Like you show A for apple, right? We tell them, right? You tell small kids, maybe like a red apple, and you tell them apple, and they just remember it, and suddenly tomorrow you give a green color apple, they can still say that's an apple, even though it's a green color. That just like that, we give as much data as possible, and the computer starts analyzing and find the patterns, just like our humans do, right? We go by shape to, find patterns, and we go by colors, and we go by all the differences, right? Our brain is so good at finding patterns. We can detect not just patterns in objects, we can detect patterns in behaviors, right? And that's why humans, we make friends. How? We find patterns. We see, oh, this person likes the movies I like, and this person likes books I like, so I'm going to be, friend with them, right? So this is a pattern, behavioral pattern. Same way, computers can predict patterns, and that's important. And how do you make sure you have a good pattern? You have to train, right? You give data and let the computer try to find as many patterns as possible. That's part of the training. Then once the training is over, the computer is ready to predict. You give new data, and based on the patterns that it has found, and it can compare and tell, okay, this is my prediction. So that's how machine learning works.